Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm going solo on that ass, but it's still the same. We're talking some TNA wrestling. I've been waiting for the Scott DAmore news from Fightful Select to come out because I have not done a podcast in a little bit, and I've been wanting to do like a breaking news pod because I found out that I can go to StreamYard through my phone, and I have not done that before. So I actually just pulled out my cell phone, went to StreamYard, and I'm streaming live. And I also just noticed that there's people watching, so which means I forgot to make this unlisted again. But oh well, that's fine. If you're watching live right now, go ahead. You can comment whatever you guys want to talk about. This is going to be a quick one though, because I'm just on my lunch break, and I'm actually sitting outside in the hot sun in my Volkswagen Jetta. So I do appreciate you guys being here. Please forgive me for the AC sound in the background. That is just me with my car on because I'm just outside in the parking lot. All right. I think I'm back. If you guys can hear me in the chat, okay, we're back. All right, sorry about that. So here's what happened. I was looking at it, and I switched screens. I got off of the StreamYard screen, and apparently when I do that, it kicks you off. So yeah, it kicked me off because I went to go read the report that Sean Ross Sapp just posted about Scott DAmore. But I'll basically paraphrase it. Here, let me do this bad boy. So what I'll do is I will paraphrase it. If any of you fucks make fun of my hairline, you're dead to me. All right, so here's what happened. So DAmore, so Sean Ross Sapp just posted a report that, and it sounds like this is coming straight from DAmore. And what he's saying is that DAmore basically wants it out there that he didn't quit, that he didn't step down, and that he was absolutely terminated. And I talked about this last week on Brace for Impact, when I said, look, they probably gave him another offer in the they made him an offer to stay within the company, but just not as TNA president. He wasn't taking a demotion. He was like, look, I got the company this far. Why would I step down? And honestly, I get it. That makes total sense to me. It doesn't make any sense that he would step down. So, yeah, that's probably what happened. But DAmore was fired, and DAmore wants it out there that, yes, he absolutely was fired. And so I think it's important that information gets out there. But they did say that he actually did help out with the new president, Anthony Ciccone. That this was known for about a month. DAmore knew this was coming for about a month. And then a couple weeks out, in a last-ditch effort, that he actually tried to buy the promotion to keep himself into power, and it just didn't work out. It just wasn't going to happen. Anthem completely rejected his offer. They were not interested, and which tells me that Anthem is happy with TNA in their umbrella. They moved it under the Anthem Entertainment Group, and they just streamlined their leadership. And they weren't about to have two presidents, and they're going to go with their stooge. They're going with Ciccone. He's been their guy for 16 years, and so. And yes, DJ Convoy in the chat. Yes, clearly a cost-cutting measure. Yeah, it was clearly a cost-cutting measure. None of the assholes and their conspiracies were right. So yeah, this was a cost-cutting measure. That's all this was. They're just trying to get the budget under control. And when by moving TNA under Anthem Entertainment Group, it's just going to kind of streamline their leadership structure. That's all that's doing, and it's going to create synergy between all the different brands underneath that umbrella. That's all this was. It sucks for Scott DAmore, and it sucks for the locker room, because a lot of the locker room, we're looking at kind of a Rossi Ogawa situation where, Scott recruited them, Scott trained a lot of them. If you take a look at the top of the promotion there, Moose, DAmore trainee, Kushida, DAmore trainee, the Motor City Machine Guns, all DAmore trainees. And you go on and on and on throughout that promotion. They're all Scott DAmore guys. Josh Alexander, runs the school, the Border City Wrestling School that Scott DAmore owns. And Jade Chung, is Josh Alexander's wife, is the new ring announcer. His fingerprints are all over that promotion, and they're all loyal to him. Look, a lot of people will say they're loyal to the letters TNA. And I know a lot of them grew up as TNA fans. But they wouldn't be in TNA if it wasn't for Scott DAmore. So morale is going to be at a low for a long time. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it happens. And that sucks. Look, Stardom's going to go through it right now. You know, they canned they canned Rossi. Rossi was going to leave anyway, but they canned him, and he's starting his own deal, and he's going to take a lot of those talents with him, and that's just the way it goes. Like because he recruited them, he trained them, he got them to where they are, and they're probably going to want to go with him. I think we're going to see some of that in TNA when a lot of these contracts come due. Wherever Scott D'Amore's at, they're probably going to want to go join them, unless of course this guy Ciccone can stop lying to the talent about what happened. But he's already lost their trust. Jordan Grace took to Twitter and said, "You can't, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression." The first impression of this guy is him being a fucking liar. So that's tough. There's no coming back from that. So now he's got to dig himself out of a hole, and I don't know that he can do it. And part of the report they brought up Braun Strowman, and I think this is probably Anthem babyfacing the fans, to let them know that they saved TNA from a Braun Strowman run. Although I was for it, they're probably going to pay him a lot of money and never get a return on investment. But at the time, you got to remember the context of 2021. Their business was declining because Kenny Omega was on his way out. No, this was before Kenny Omega. Never mind. So this was pandemic. They're in Skyway Studios. They haven't had Kenny Omega yet. They needed any type of star power at that point in time. So that's why I was for it at the time. Would it have been a good thing for TNA? Probably not. Which is probably why all this information about Braun and the offer they made is all getting leaked. And now the D'Amore side is saying that it was nowhere near 6 or 7-figure deal that was offered. And so for some reason they're throwing Braun's name around in this whole D'Amore thing. So which I find kind of funny. So, but yeah, DJ Convoy says that they dodged a bullet. Yeah, they very most likely did, because right after Braun went back to WWE, he ended up breaking his neck. But so yeah, the Anthem side and the D'Amore side, they're kind of at odds. And I think that more and more is going to come out about this. Actually, I think Sap just took to Twitter and said that he's got another story coming out. Like, brother, can you just release it all at the same time? That'd be nice. Or if you do, wait till Friday whenever I have to record again. That'd be nice. But, my friend Godilla in my Brace for Impact chat on Twitter, he asked me a really good question. Because I was pretty negative about this whole thing. And I was pretty negative on, Impact last week. And maybe my thoughts on the D'Amore thing had a lot to do with how negative I was about the quality of that show. And maybe I'll go back and rewatch the episode, but honestly, I think that it just wasn't a good show last week. I felt like they had a couple good matches, but it was mostly kind of boring. And that's where I've been at with a lot of TNA Impact episodes. But he asked me a good question. He said that, can this end up being a good thing, right? Why does the Scott D'Amore firing have to automatically be bad? Could it end up being a good thing if the product gets better? And it's like, well, of course. Yeah, of course it could be a good thing. Right now I'm looking at it as a bad thing because you got this guy who is unproven. And he's, and he asked me that because I've been very negative on the creative for a long time. And he said, if you get rid of Scott D'Amore, will the creative improve? And if it improves, will that end up being a good thing? And the answer is, of course, yes. Unfortunately, the creative team is largely staying in place as of right now. As far as I know, it's Tommy Dreamer, R.D. Evans, and fucking Delirious, who is the most paint by numbers creative guy ever. If you watched his reign of terror on Ring of Honor, and we'll see if, will it come out that D'Amore was the guy making everything so boring? Maybe. I don't know. I doubt it though. I don't think so. I know he was ultimately the top guy in creative, but I think he was just taking all the creative and kind of just kind of fine tuning it and stuff like that. But if he was the major problem, and then we will soon find out with this No Surrender show coming up that has largely already been booked. But I think we'll get the creative in the shows after that. But could this end up being a good thing? Yeah, if creative gets better, it could absolutely be a good thing. The problem is that the morale in the locker room is so low that they're really going to have a tough time keeping a lot of these talents going forward. And they were already having a tough time because even the most loyal Scott D'Amore people, can't turn down AEW money and can't turn down WWE money forever. Eventually, they got to go get paid. and that's just where they're at, because they are, depending on, there's like this fictitious ranking structure among the internet wrestling community about where TNA sits. They're anywhere from number 3 to number 7, depending on how you feel that day. Some people might think that WoW is above TNA because more people watch the show, but honestly, WoW, they get a lot of numbers because people forget to shut their TV off at night, right? And they don't sell tickets and they don't sell pay-per-views. People have New Japan of America above TNA domestically because they sell more tickets. They just don't have as many events as Impact, and they also don't get the viewership that Impact gets because Impact is they're anywhere from 75,000 to 150,000 depending on the week. That's live. So and then some people want to throw NWA in there because they're on the CW app, and I have not met a single person that actually has that app. So and I don't think they're actually getting paid for that. Like, I'm sure they're getting a little bit, enough to pull themselves off of Fight TV, but I don't think that they're actually getting a whole lot of money. And maybe they do. Maybe we'll start seeing the money roll in for NWA, and they'll the CW app is going to be a game changer. But I just don't see that. And of course, you got MLW. MLW is basically an indie now. They just lost to Hammerstone and Fatu, and they're running monthly Fight TV specials. And so I think if you called Impact, if you call TNA like number 4, I think like right in that range, you're probably doing pretty. You're probably on the right side, but so it's gonna be a tough year going forward for TNA. I think that as much as I had with DAmore's creative, I did feel like with him, it seemed like he was constantly fighting to grow the company, and he was constantly out there promoting and just being the face of the company, and that also probably led to his downfall. To be honest with you, I don't think Anthem Suits really liked seeing the president of one of their companies getting put through flaming tables and doing Canadian destroyers in his 50s while he's super overweight and taking up valuable TV time that could go to some of the wrestlers that they're paying that aren't getting enough TV time, or booking a show in his hometown and putting himself in the co-main event. That probably didn't help him, honestly, with Anthem. But I do think that he was kind of the glue that held that whole thing together. And I think he was the reason why, despite the creative probably not being as great, while the company continued to grow and continue to sell more tickets and do it better in a lot of these markets, and and ultimately why they did over 30,000 pay-per-views on, why they did 30,000 pay-per-views for this latest Hard to Kill show, which is the best that they ever did under the Anthem umbrella. So he's always going to have that to hang his hat on. What's next for DAmore? A lot of people are saying, oh, will he go to AEW? Will go to WWE? This brother is rich. He probably, I don't know what he's gonna do. He doesn't have to do anything. He's got plenty of money in Windsor and Detroit with all his cash businesses that he's got, his construction businesses. But he loves professional wrestling, so I get the feeling that we could see him in professional wrestling. And lastly, and I'll leave you guys on this because I really am hungry. This really is my lunch break. As you can see, I'm in my uniform. I'm just in my car. So they were talking about the production upgrades. Well, a lot of that just went to Skyway Studios and like software and like the computers and all that stuff. And it appears that none of that really went to the actual production of the live events, meaning like the cameras, they look the same and the microphones sound the same. The lighting is still bad. They did get a new boom mic that kind of comes from the stage, and they got a bigger screen, but that was about it. So for the most part, the TNA Impact show is Impact Wrestling with a new logo. And we saw that once they went to Orlando. So, all right. Looks like we've got some more people in the chat. Let me see. Greg Blanton. Scott can't pay the talents enough to hire them away from TNA. They may go to AEW or WWE. Well, it depends on what Scott's got going on next. Who knows where he goes? I don't think that he's starting his own promotion, but crazier things have happened. Convoy says, I miss Illa. Haven't said hey to him since I left Twitter. You were smart to leave Twitter. Honestly, I'm getting close to that. I just restarted my Instagram, but we'll see. I haven't really done anything on Instagram yet. And then Greg Blanton says, Anthem is looking for a merger for TNA that leads to much better cash flow. I don't know what that means. I don't know that that's true. I've never heard that they're looking for a merger. If you just mean that that they're merging TNA into Anthem Entertainment Group. I want you to watch the rest of the shows that are on Access. And they're just like studio shows with random celebrities popping in and talking about 80s music and 70s music, and and their favorite albums. So I don't know that that's going to create a bigger cash flow. And in fact, the Sean Ross Sapp report that just came out stated that they are absolutely 100% looking to cut the budget. So what it looks like going forward is we're going to get the same show with the same creative people in charge without Scott DAmore and less money coming in. That's what it looks like. Until I see different, that's where I'm going to go with it. And then DJ Convoy says, yeah, he's got Border City Wrestling. Yeah. What's funny about that, DJ, is in March, let's see, No Surrender's coming up. I can't remember the name of the March show that's coming up in Windsor. Sacrifice. It's Sacrifice. TNA is actually going back to Windsor where Border City holds their show, and for Sacrifice. And Border City is usually, like, their local guys there are actually the ones that are on the ground promoting that show, and they bring the ring and they do all that. But now that they fired Scott DAmore, they're not going to be a part of it. In fact, if you go to the Border City website, they actually removed Sacrifice from their events listing. They're not actually promoting that show. So they fired Scott DAmore. So Scott DAmore said, "Screw it, we're not doing it." So, but yeah. So hey guys, before I get off here, so quick programming note. JD is out this week, so I'm gonna be having a guest host. I got a couple people I'm gonna talk to about coming on, and I have to work Thursday night, and so like legit, like I have to be at work at the same time that I normally would record, which is 6:30 p.m. Hawaii time, and that's 10:30 JD's time, 11:30 Eastern time. I actually have to be at work, so I have a function that night, so I'm not gonna be able to do the show on Thursday night. So I'm actually going to push it back to Friday, which I have Friday off, thank God. So I will be doing it at some point on Friday, and I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll make sure to get the links out on YouTube and links out on Twitter and everything to let you guys know. And then hopefully there's some more news to talk about. It's been a very news-heavy couple of weeks. But so far this week, it's only Tuesday. Not much has really dropped. So that's where it stands. But there will be a new Mike and JD show this week. I just don't know exactly what time on Friday, but it's very likely going to be on Friday. I don't know exactly who my co-host is going to be, but I will have a co-host lined up, and we'll have a really good show. And then and the bad tweet segment will continue this week without JD, but we got a couple of doozies. My buddy Gerard has one. I cannot wait to roast my friend Gerard. Roasting friends is always the best. Like, if more of my friends can make more bad tweets, I think that would make this job a lot more fun. And then of course Ice Cube's the shitheaded little son. I've been taking it easy on Ice Cube Jr. because Ice Cube is one of my childhood heroes, like legitimate. Like not only his music, but the Friday series was like I wore those videotapes out and those DVDs out when I was a kid. I love Friday, so I've been giving him a pass. So I've been giving Ice Cube Jr. a pass. Heel del Ice Cube, thank you, DJ. I've been giving Ice Cube Jr. a pass. But he fucking stepped in it this week when he brought up War Games, so he's going to be on Bad Tweets this week. So Bad Tweets will be making a comeback this week, and it's been too long. I have missed you, Bad Tweets. So if you got bad tweets, tag me and use the hashtag Bad Tweets if you want one to get read on the air, because I will be doing that on Friday night. So join us on Friday night over on the Voices of Wrestling channel, and then of course I do it right here. So, but. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me on this live podcast, live breaking news. Well, not really breaking news, but a live edition of Brace for Impact from my car on my lunch break. And until next time, mahalo.